These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Wednesday, May 22nd. It's midnight after Game 1 of Celtics-Pacers Eastern Conference Finals, and the Celtics
It ain't
pulled
midnight
out
anymore.
a win. It's a little past midnight. It's 12:45. The point was it's May 22nd because it's the next day. Is the point I'm saying. 133-128 overtime win for the Celtics. Looked absolutely dead in the water, and surprise, they were not. Huge win, needed to have it after the way they got to overtime on a huge Jaylen Brown three, his only make from three of the game. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both with some, we can call it questionable to rough play in crunch time, but then Jaylen Brown buckled down with some big plays late. Jason Tatum had some big plays late. They did their thing. Jrue Holiday was the star of the show, best player in this game for the Celtics, in my opinion, the whole way through. He was awesome. Just gritted out a win. I think there's going to be a heavy balance of the Celtics late game offense looked bad, but also they won a close game. So it's kind of like twofold there. Pacers made some late game blunders that helped the Celtics along the way, but sometimes that's what it takes. But the point is Celtics are up 1-0 in the series. And at the end of the day, that's kind of all that matters at this point. So we're going to break it all down anyways, but starting off the series in a win, good thing.
Needed it. I was so mad for like 2 hours. They went up 12-0. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. This is how they should play every game. And don't take that away from them. It was a great start. I like the way they came out. Started with losing the tip, which is fine. Who cares? But then on defense, Tatum just snatches a pass out of midair, and it leads to a Jaylen Brown dunk, which probably was an and one, but they didn't call it. And then Horford blocks a shot, and they would have had a transition bucket again, but they called a ghost goaltend, which had to be challenged 30 seconds into the game. And then, anyways, 12-0 run to start. Really, really good start from the Celtics. Pacers carried over a little bit of that juice from Game 7 in New York, where they were not missing a whole lot. And credit to them, they're a good offense. They're a good team. This should not be a dismissive game of them. And we'll talk about them later. But they battled. They didn't go easy. And this was back and forth the whole way. Even though the Celtics built it back up to double digits a couple times, goes the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter was a fucking disaster. I did my cardiac Celtics recap, which I have no idea when it'll go up. I think it's usually like the last thing because it's not actual news, but it'll be up there. And I described the 13-point lead in the third quarter as this game's equivalent to the seatbelt on the roller coaster going down. From that point on, it was a disaster, chaos, perfect storm of bullshit where you had all of the emotions. This game had plenty. You weren't watching the broadcast. Plenty of commercials for, what is it? Inside Out, where they have all the emotions.
Yeah.
That was the number one movie that's, perfect correlation for a playoff basketball game. And you mentioned it. Tatum and Brown had head scratchers in the clutch. Jaylen had some questionable drives. I believe he had a turnover to misses, tough shots. Tatum misses the open one to tie the game, misses the follow away after he gets an offensive rebound.
Turns it over, trying to pass it to Jrue.
Turns it over. But those two guys stepped up with two massive brass ball shots, and Tatum had really a brass ball sequence where he scored 6 straight in overtime. Just really good showing from your stars. And the other guys stepped up too. You mentioned Holiday being like the efficiency god in this game. But to me, the story is you obviously don't want to see a close game if you don't have to, but this should make you feel a little bit better about seeing them. And I'm in that crowd that I was like, what the fuck? This game's close. I don't want to see it close. I don't want to see them have to play a game down to the wire. I don't necessarily trust them in this situation. And I was pissed because it was looking like I was right. And I didn't want to be right. But it turned out the way it did. We can talk about how it got there. But initial takes is, yes, the road was ass, but the destination was rewarding. Because not only did you walk away with the win, but you saw that these guys did have it in them to clutch up a little bit. with an
Yeah.
asterisk. But they got the job done in a tight game that they probably shouldn't have won.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely shouldn't have won it. They stole this game. And sometimes you need that in the playoffs. Like every team who wins a championship has a game or two where they're like, oh, probably should have won that game, won it anyways. And that's kind of what makes a good team. And so credit to Tatum for the big shot he made in overtime. Credit to Jaylen for the big shot he made to get them overtime. Tatum with the and one and the three. So 2 plays really. Tatum had a nice play. I forget if it was in regulation or the overtime too, where he drew 2, swung it to Horford, who swung it to somebody else, and they got a nice 3 out of it. So
Derek White, and it was they had fallen down 4 with 4.5 to play.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for remembering that randomly.
I just did the recap thing. That's why.
Gotcha.
That was a key.
But like, my point is, there were like glimpses of like really, really good stuff from the Celtics, and there were glimpses of what the hell are you doing, like Jaylen Brown corralling a rebound and going right into a turnaround jumper that you had no business taking, like Jason Tatum and Derek White missing like 4 tip-in attempts next to the basket over and over again. Like that one in particular is probably not their fault. It's just like, what the hell? Like, come on. Drop defense was as bad as ever in this game. Pascal Siakam and Andrew Nembhard just hit all the free throw line 2-pointers. That was frustrating. Tyrese Halliburton got like a myriad of open pull-up threes because Al Horford was just sinking back in the paint. There was one play, I think it was to open the second half, where they literally just dropped all the way back and gave him a red carpet to the basket. Shout out Worldwide Wob who tweeted that. It's just like the defense was horrible in this game for long stretches. And then for stretches, it was like suffocating, like the end of regulation. They got the ball into Halliburton, and Tatum was just like, nah, I'm just going to stand directly in front of you, and you're barely going to get a shot off. Overtime, I thought they had some good defensive positions too. Like, they showed glimpses of really good stuff, and then half the game was, if the Pacers play with an ounce of speed, they're just going to get an open layup on the other end. And so Jaylen talked about it after the game, like having to improve the transition defense, and that'll be the one thing. But I think, like you said, the biggest takeaway from this game should be it was ugly. They had some bad plays, but they still won the game. And I know everyone's going to sit there and say, well, that won't fly against the Timberwolves. That won't fly against this team. That won't fly. Like, sure, but that's not who the Celtics are playing right now. And as Joe has tried to say all season, like, you focus on the game you're in and do whatever it takes to win that game. And this is what it took to win this game. And for all the mistakes and all the bad shit that they did throughout the game, they won. They won the game with some big shot making, some big plays at the end in a game that they had no business winning by the end of it. They won the game. And you mentioned the runs, and I think my biggest thing is, like, you'd like to see them build on the lead. It's not always, it's like, that's just not always going to happen. And yes, the Celtics should have done a better job to prevent the Pacers from going on runs and cutting down those leads, but that's also what the Pacers do. Like, that is their entire brand of how they are a successful basketball team, is we're going to score a shitload of points in bunches. And that's what they did against the Celtics, and the Celtics need to tighten up and improve their transition defense to sort of mitigate those runs. But that is what the Pacers do. Sometimes they're going to be able to parlay those 13, 14 point, whatever leads into 30-point wins. And that's what they've done for most of the playoffs, but that's just not like always going to happen. And in spite of the fact that they let go of the rope in this one, and instead of they didn't just bend, they broke in this game. They bounced all the way back, they patched the holes, and they found a way to win. So credit them for that. Still plenty to learn and build on from this, but the Pacers are here, and they are a formidable opponent. Evidently, they're a pretty good basketball team.
You mentioned the runs. I don't know if I had as much of a problem with the runs compared to when they happened. And this may be a dumb gripe to have, and you may dismiss it, but I don't love that. I just looked it up manually on this fucking site. Don't love that they got outscored by a combined 18 points in the final 3 minutes of the first 3 quarters.
They close quarters like shit. Absolutely, they close quarters like shit, and that's not.
And that's an important thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why this game ended up being what it was, because even let's just say they close the third quarter and their 13-point lead is down to 7.
Sure.
Which is looking what it might have been at one point. It was like, okay, like they'll probably get away. They didn't go in double digits, but 7's not bad. And then it's like, oh, actually, no, sorry, you're up 1. Because Halliburton hit his second dumbass heave of the game.
Those were crazy.
Well,
those were nuts.
The thing is, like, when regulation was ending, I was like, is he going to make a third one?
I thought it went in. Halliburton made some crazy shots. Those two at the end of what was it, the first and the third quarter, was it, or first and second quarter?
Second and third.
Second and third quarters. Like those are the ones, unfortunately, you kind of just have to go, well,
You spike your remote.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Because like the first one was 5 to 8 feet behind the 3-point line, right? And then the second one was an off balance, leaning in off of a good contest bank shot. Like, what are you gonna do? And those are the ones where you have to make up by like grinding it out and earning a victory in the end, which the Celtics did, so credit to them. But I thought the biggest problem wasn't Halliburton. I thought it was, why the hell did they just keep giving Pascal Siakam free middies? Like, I get it. And I get that maybe you want to live with those rather than threes. But for as clutch shots as he might have made at points in this game, Al Horford was getting torched, man. And this isn't like a knock. Obviously, he had his big game against the Cavs after being rough on defense that whole series. But they've got to find a way to either avoid the drop defense or put Al, give him some extra help on those, because he's just like, he's getting killed in that mid-range spot. And again, maybe you'll live with those instead of the threes, but that was whenever Siakam got to that spot, it was money. And the other thing in this game I think that's important was the Celtics, like 3 of 12 from Al Horford from three. Like he shot, what is that, 25%? If he makes two more of those, this is a different game. And they're doing the Cavs, we're going to leave Al Horford open and make him kill us. And he didn't in this game, and they won anyways, which is a good thing. But like, even if he makes one or two more of those, this is a completely different game because of the spots he might have missed the men or the opponents. And another thing, sorry, I'm rambling, is it feels like there's a direct correlation between the Celtics 12-0 run to the start, then they start missing shots, and then the Pacers start making shots. That's not a coincidence. That is because the Celtics, when they get the chance to set their defense, looks a lot different than the Pacers running and getting out against an unset Celtics defense, which is literally the entire Pacers brand of basketball. There was a stretch in this game that I watched that perfectly describes who Indiana is as a team. It was Miles Turner runs down one end and just gets a free dunk because he's faster than everybody else, and the Pacers are just pushing it. And then the next possession on defense, Luke Cornett literally dribbled twice and just dunked the ball because the Pacers like that is who the Pacers are. The Pacers will score a million transition points, but they also can't play defense themselves. And the Celtics fell into the trap of, in my opinion, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on this, they're mismatch hunting because they like a lot of the matches they get, but this Pacers defense is bad enough where you're almost giving them an out by mismatch hunting as much as they did. Like, rather than moving the ball and running plays to scramble the Pacers defense and get them in rotation, which they are horrendous at, you're going at mismatches and taking, yes, they got to the rim a bunch of times, but a lot of the times it turned into, I'm just going to take a quick midi, or I'm going to dribble and maybe take a three, or I'll get one screen and then I'll take a three or drive. Like, it just feels like if you just move the ball like 2 more times in every possession, the Pacers are going to fuck it up because they're not a good defensive team. And so I almost feel like you gave the Pacers a bailout at times with the offense the Celtics played. Again, though, I'm going to say at the end of all my points, they won the game. So good that they won a close game, but there's just a lot of stuff they should and can improve on from this one. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch all the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, college basketball entries today on PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. One of our favorite picks here at the How About Them Celtics podcast is the Jrue Holiday blocks. It's usually 0.5. He just needs more than 0.5 blocks. That means 1 Jrue Holiday block. And that pick is in the bag. PrizePicks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Yeah, people in the comments, don't get mad that we're criticizing them because they did win. And I know we're kind of talking about it like it was a loss. But I think we were both kind of mentally prepared to talk about a loss.
They should have lost.
We still have like our loss talking points in the chamber. And so to go back to your point about like the shot selection and mismatch hunting and stuff, there weren't a lot of times that I noticed it. Not to say it didn't happen. I was tweeting, I was doing all this stuff, like, didn't jump off the page to me. I thought there were some times where shots were bad. There were times where I thought, and particularly, there was one late game possession where Hauser had an air ball 3, and I was like, what the fuck are they doing with offense? Like, nothing, there was no action being run until, like, it was too late. And I felt like that was a common occurrence. I think maybe they tried to go at Neesmith a little bit too much. I mean, he ends up fouling out in this game, which maybe was part of the goal. But he's a better defender than I think people give him credit for, even though I also think he gets credit for being a good defender. But it's more like I think they think he's a reckless defender, which we did see.
Yeah.
But he's still good. Like, he's not like,
Sure.
oh, let's attack him every time bad. The
I
one that
think they
I
went-
like to see, I like to see him go at Halliburton.
Okay.
I do. He's the. I don't want to say he's the best guy on that team because I think Siakam gets a shout, but he's definitely the motor. He does the most for their offense. He can make quick decisions with the ball. He did a great job, and even when he wasn't being aggressive shooting wise early in this game, he helped Miles Turner get going for 18 first half points. And then he gets going. I tweeted, I was like, wow, Celtics are only up 5, and we're getting the Halliburton plays like Ben Simmons game. and then he decided to make all the threes.
Makes all the threes.
We got a quarter and a half of Ben Simmons Halliburton today. But seriously, like, that guy is such a weapon for them. If you make him give up at the other end and be more of a net neutral than a huge offensive positive who doesn't get punished on defense, I mean, he's tiny. He's a skinny guy. He's not strong. If he has to guard Jaylen or Jrue Holiday, I love the Jrue Holiday Marcus Smart post-ups today. I thought that was a huge part of their execution in the fourth quarter, and it kept him in the game.
I don't hate it. I think they went at him and Nembhard too much. This Pacers team is so unbelievably terrible in rotation. Like there were certain plays in this game where they just sent 2 at the ball, and the Celtics got an open layup or open 3 from it. And it just feels like by going to the mismatches, which is fine, you give them time to send help. And by the time the Celtics pass out of the help, the Pacers are back to where they were because it's not a rotation. They just have to stunt and recover. And it just felt like if the Celtics put, and I don't hate the post. Obviously, I think it's a good thing to go to, but it just feels like if you could more consistently go to screen, dump in, pass, ball movement, like the Horford play, or the Tatum to Horford to D White play. Like, just do that in variations a few more times. Like, bring that up more often because the Pacers are not a good enough defensive team to guard that and recover and get back out to the shooters or get to the lane and guard the roll. So mismatch hunting has its place, but it just feels like they almost use it as a crutch too much in this game. Like, you're a good enough offensive team where you should just spread it around. They did, but
one.
Well, I don't think they would have needed one if they moved the ball more, if they just played a more flowy offense. And
I know it was an overtime game, but they did have 30 assists.
I don't know, man.
I think there was some slower possessions. I thought the ISO stuff reared its head. I don't think you're wrong, but I specifically loved the Holiday post-ups, and I want to continue to see Holiday post-ups because I think it's so effective. He was 4 of 5 in the fourth quarter. He had the team high 8 points in the quarter. They needed that.
They're fine. I like the Holiday post-ups. But then in the fourth quarter, this is not a knock on Jrue Holiday. In the fourth quarter, they went to the mismatch hunting. Like, that's where I think you should use it the least. Like, if anything, go away and go to your ball movement and play normal basketball. And we're like, they had 30-something assists in this game. Yeah, but in the fourth quarter, they had 9 made shots and only 4 assists. Shot 39%.
The goal with the mismatch hunting is to ultimately make the defense break down. I think at some points, the Celtics are not necessarily looking to do that. Whoever is hunting the mismatch is looking for their shot instead of looking to put pressure on the defense, which, I mean, sometimes your shot has to put pressure on the defense. But the Holiday post-ups, and I guess you could even say somebody like Jaylen too, if he makes the right decisions. We don't really see Tatum get to do it because he gets the ball inside the arc and it's chaos. And it's just, that's how defenses are going to react. But those other guys, they put pressure where it's the defense has to make a decision. The auto move is not to triple, double team, whatever they're going to do that they would do to Tatum. instead it's like, okay, is Halliburton going to die there with Holiday posting him up or Jaylen posting him up or Jaylen posting up Nembhard? Or are we going to send help? And if they send help, then you get the great, lovely, beautiful basketball possessions like the
But
Horford to Derek White swing passes.
teams aren't sending help as much in the playoffs though, because they're comfortable living with these turnaround fadeaways, and if they get to the post up in by the paint, then there's a help defender there because somebody's for the Celtics in the dunker spot anyways, and that's not like conducive. And a couple of times it led to Luke Cornett inside shots, like Derek White and Jrue Holiday did a good job of finding him once they got that deep and they had two on them. But I don't mind the mismatch. I think it just feels like they're utilizing it too much and in the wrong way sometimes. But
And this was
other
also a
thing-
game that they didn't shoot particularly well from three. Like 15 of
That's what I said.
45. Horford had a big role in that. So if you take 3 of 12 out, you're getting what? 12 of 33, which is roughly the same percentage. A little bit
36,
better.
yeah.
But like, there's not a lot of guys you're kicking the ball out to. Derek White and Holiday are the main ones, I guess.
Derek White missed.
The rest of these
I guess 3 base not bad. Yeah, Tatum's threes didn't fall. And for what it's worth, I didn't think like there were a couple Tatum threes that were bad, but some of those Tatum threes were like good looks, and he just missed. Like that pull up 3 after the Neesmith over thing, like that was open.
It was a good shot.
The corner one I
Denver
thought was pretty good.
PTSD.
He just missed.
I was like,
he
oh
just
my
missed a
God,
couple
he
of
missed
big ones.
another wide open 3 with like the game on the line. He's gonna get killed for this. Like
and then
this
he
was
made the big one.
This was the apocalypse game. I was like, oh my God, there's gonna be a day in 22 hours or whatever that you're gonna have to sit and listen to. Celtics can't win close games. Tatum isn't built for it. They can't win with this guy. Blah 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 blah. Oh my gosh, thank goodness they won. Because that would have been
the big one, dude.
insufferable.
He made the one he needed to make, evidently. So good.
He
good for
had
him.
like a lesser, no, I don't want to say lesser, but less disastrous turnaround. We'll put it that way. Version of the Philly Game 6.
Yeah, it sucks because like he played poorly down the stretch of regulation, but I thought Tatum was so good up to that point. Like up until clutch time, I thought he was awesome in this game. And as a whole, I think he had a pretty good game. That like whatever minute span of end of game, I think was rough because he ended up taking a lot of threes and they didn't fall, even though I'd say at least half of them were good threes. And he took his fair share of stupid ones. Like that turnover was really bad. The pull-up 3 he took, I forget when exactly it was, but I know he took a pull-up 3 that was really bad in crunch time. He missed that turnaround fadeaway that was bad. Like Tatum had some really, really, really bad plays in clutch time, and that cannot be like, I can't say that enough, but like if you take out the threes, he was excuse me, 10 of 18 from 2 in this game, 10 of 12 from the line. He was aggressive. He rebounded the ball really well in this game. He had 10 defensive rebounds, 2 offensive, 3 steals. Like I thought Tatum had a great game in terms of his aggressiveness and getting to the rim rather than settling for shots. It just kind of went away, unfortunately, in the fourth quarter. I don't know if that was because just him alone or if that was a mix of him and the Pacers deciding to help less. And so his options were taken away. But I thought Tatum had a solid game, and it just kind of crumbled at times there. And then in overtime, he came up big when it mattered. So credit to him for that. He deserves that credit. 10 points in overtime is no joke. 5 free throws to help seal it was great as well. But yeah, I thought Tatum was good. I thought Jaylen was good until clutch time as well. Jrue was good throughout. Derek was pretty up and down, but he was good. I will say crunch time was still wishy-washy, but I loved that they put the ball in Derek White's hands to start almost every single clutch time possession. He had the ball every single time. Almost every time Derek White started with the ball, which is a good thing.
Guess what? People were complaining.
Were they?
I don't know how much you were scrolling the timeline, but people were like, why isn't the ball in Tatum's hands? But I let it be known, because I know somebody in the time that's passed since you said it, which is probably 15 seconds. I don't think Jack is saying Jaylen was bad in clutch time without accounting the game tying shot. Because someone's gonna be like, how was he bad in clutch time? He made the tying shot.
Jaylen had a bad 5 to 1 minutes and had a phenomenal final 60 seconds.
Jaylen and Jason Tatum in the fourth quarter combined to shoot 3 of 11.
They're bad. They were bad in the fourth quarter. They were bad.
Now,
Noah's writing about Jaylen. She goes, he had a great clutch time. That last 60 seconds, I go, are you going to mention the other 4 minutes of clutch time? She goes, what are you talking about?
Well, my favorite thing right now on Twitter is actually your guy, Celtics Unite, put out the video of Tatum making the dagger 3 and was like, what now? Like, whatever. It was along that lines. Like, oh, what now? Like, you can't make the big shot. It's not the night for it, and I'm very happy. I can't say enough. Very happy with Tatum in overtime. Big balls, 6 points in a row when they needed them. Smoked a wide open one to tie it. Smoked the fadeaway. Turned the ball over. It wasn't
Alex Barth of 98.5. He sits up there with us. We were talking about it after the game. He goes, I forget the exact word, but it's the ink blot tests, like where you hold up the ink blot. Like, what do you see? Like,
what letters?
This. No. This. So it's like this. It's called the Rorschach test. Like, you hold this up. No. It's this. Look at the screen. So, like, people will hold up ink blots. Like, a therapist will hold up an ink blot, and I'll be like, "What do you see?" And some people see like a rabbit, and some people see like a dog. You know what I'm saying? Sure, whatever. You see what you want to see, exactly. But the point is, like, that's what Tatum's game was. If you're a Tatum optimist, you'll see the good. If you're a Tatum pessimist, you'll see the bad. Like, it is whatever you want to see.
Well, I think I'm a pessimist, but I still think the good is excellent. Like, I'm so happy about that.
There's a healthy mix of what went
and
well.
I think it helped change the story today. Obviously, like, that's such an obvious take, but like, seriously, he shook off that it was almost like a heroic movie scene moment, like a superhero movie. Like, okay, you know what I'm going to compare it to? Take a wild guess. Spider-Man 2 loses his powers, and Doc Ock throws the car through the restaurant window, and he gets enough power back to, like, save himself and Mary Jane. Like, Tatum, no show all season, clutch time. Horrendous. Game on the line. Can't trust him as far as you can throw him. Today, I'm not going to say season on the line because it wasn't, but important playoff game on the line. Turns it up in overtime. Gets the N1. Next possession comes down and drills the 3. I'm so happy with that. And I think it's a step in the right direction, and I hope I'm right.
I think it's a good thing the Celtics won this game. Obviously, hot take. I think it's a good thing that they won in the way they did. Joe Mazzulla earlier this season, I pulled it up and I was going to ask him about it, but I didn't get the chance to. He had the quotes. I hope a game like that happens 12 more times. I hope we blow leads. I hope all that happens. I really do. That's what I think.
For that, both of us.
I think it's just like at times we're supposed to be winning all the time. That's not the case. We have to stay the course. That's key. He said, I hope we get 10 more games like that. I don't want to be in a position where everything goes our way. And so whatever you go through, whatever, it's important for us. And I think endurance is a physical and mental endurance. You have to learn how to win games all the time. You can't take that piece for granted. And by God, they did not take it for granted. And as much as you can hate on Joe, as much as people dislike him for saying shit like that, paid off. Like, they blew a lead. They blew multiple double-digit leads in this game. They found themselves down late in the fourth quarter. They struggled at times in crunch time. They weren't able to, play the way that some people want them to play for an entire 48 minutes. And yet at the end of the game, they won. They pulled out a win. They found a way to win. And I think that just goes back to everything Joe has been saying throughout the postseason of whatever it takes. Like not every game is going to look the same. Not every series is going to look the same. Every instance is going to provide its own individual challenges. And it's up to the Celtics to sort of get there and overcome those challenges based on what the game presents. So I think it's a good thing that they won a game like this in particular, regardless of the opponent. Because, again, I know people are going to say, oh, it's just the Pacers. You should have won the game. Doesn't matter. They won the game. Sam froze, but he'll be back. Don't worry. I'll cut to Sam coming back. But good thing the Celtics won the game in the way they did, regardless of the opponent, because I think it shows resilience, and that's a good thing, regardless of who it is. I talked for your entirety of frozenness, and I didn't even try to ramble. I was just finishing my point. So I was just saying, doing whatever it takes, regardless of the opponent, is a good thing, because you don't know what's going to happen every game. Joe stressed that enough throughout the playoffs, and I know it's the Pacers, and I know everyone's like, oh, you should be the Pacers. But Joe has made the point of, you can't have expectations. That is the number one rule. Just go into every game and accept the challenge in front of you. And shit, the Celtics did it, and they won the game. And I think at the end of the day, as frustrating as it might have been, that's what the Celtics have prided themselves on, and they fucking proved it.
Hey, gang, let me tell you a little something about Game Time. The NBA playoffs have arrived. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Who doesn't want to get in on the fun? With Game Time, you can experience it with your own eyes. Get yourself great seats to games with even greater prices. That's right. You can save when getting your tickets with Game Time. It's an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting those playoff tickets even faster and easier. Plus, the prices on Game Time usually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. Who doesn't love to save a little bit of money? I certainly do. I used Game Time back in March when I took the lady to a game. We went to see the Celtics play our Pistons, and it was great. I could look and see what the seat view would be just using the app. Didn't have to be surprised when I showed up. Plus, you do get those last-minute deals. They have the flash deals and zone deals. Zone deals, which you can choose a section of the arena and let Game Time choose those seats. You'll save a little bit of money that way. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
So good for
Well,
them.
I was thinking about this during the game. Like, when you look at the scoreboard on ESPN and it says like Boston 1, Indiana 6, like is the seeds. And you just think, I thought back to like October and I was like, if I like told somebody this in October, they think you're crazy. But I feel like these teams, and I could be very wrong, that wind up in a conference finals situation, despite like, didn't really think they'd be there. Like, wouldn't have picked the Pacers. When they get there, they're not going to fuck around. Like, they're there to play. You know?
They got a chance. They see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Like, they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to bring it. Like, there's a reason why we are here. Whether it's injuries or not. I mean, they still earned it. They still had to go in and win a Game 7 in New York against a team that was playing mostly the same players that they had seen all series. Like, that's not easy. It was impressive. They impressed today. Like, the Pacers are not a bum team. They are a competitive team. They may not be your typical conference finalist, but they're here to play. I don't know if maybe the Celtics will lose in the series, but like, I'm not sure you're going to have to watch another tough win like this. I hope so.
Wood, Sam.
Knock
on wood immediately, brother.
I have no interest in watching another fucking game like this. This was awful. I'm happy we're here. and it is so sweet to have a win like this because it's important. Like, I mean, we just rambled for a half hour. Terp bomb.
Shout out
got
Terp.
A shirt? Let's go. He's got a shirt.
My other thing, I was talking to Steve Hewitt upstairs because he was here for the game, and he mentioned this. How deflating is this going to be for the Pacers to lose this game?
Well, that's where I was thinking. Like, I remember when the Celtics would be a team I didn't necessarily think beginning of this window, this 6 years, whatever. It's kind of like, if you're in a close game, you have to win it because you don't know how often you're going to get in that position to win a game.
Especially as the underdog. Like,
well, that's what I mean. Like, towards the beginning of this Celtic stretch, like 2018, when they were in Philly for Game 3 and they win that game, it's like, yes, you had to win that because you don't know if you're going to get another chance to win on the road. Indiana, you don't know if you're going to get another chance to win at Boston. I mean, you do have Game 2 coming up on Thursday, and that's a fucking cakewalk for every team that comes in here. But
Tatum talked about that after the game. He's just like, we got to lock in. Yeah.
And also, not for nothing, if they didn't wear white tonight, that Jaylen shot doesn't go.
I'm not even going to validate you with a response anymore.
I forgot. Like, I was so hyped after the game and like I was busy doing my thing. I'll tweet out the equipment manager picture in the morning, but it does start with the equipment manager. This was a game that they needed every ounce of superstition, luck, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we didn't even talk about this, Jack. The Pacers fucking vomited on their shoes in this game too. Like, this is not just the Celtics gritted it out. This is like, I wrote the like heart monitor recap. They gave the Celtics 3 chances to win this or to tie this game in regulation.
Yes.
There was the missed Tatum open one. Then Derek White took a floater and was probably too concerned with drawing a foul and missed it. And then there was the Tatum fadeaway.
He should have made that shot.
So after the Tatum miss, the first one, They lose the ball out of bounds. I don't even remember how. Then after the double miss, they're inbounding the ball, and Siakam is being pressured by Brown. I'm not sure if Brown knocks it away or Siakam just doesn't catch it, but he like runs out of bounds and catches the ball. So it's the Celtics
Yeah.
ball again, and then you get the Jaylen possession. He makes the shot.
Yep.
And then in overtime, or was it overtime when Halliburton just fell out of bounds? When Holiday just clamped him?
I think so, yeah.
I think that was overtime. Like, they were up 1 or 2 and they had the ball, and Holiday just picks him up and he falls on the announce table.
Yeah. I mean, the Celtics needed the help, and I think credit their like pressure, but the Pacers just did not execute when they need to. And like you said, like as much as like the whole game 2 thing, the Celtics haven't won. Tatum made the point of like the past 2 games ones, we blew them out. And I think part of game 2 was like us sort of like settling because we blew them out. They didn't blow them out in this one. They got a full face of this Pacers team is here. So I think that in a weird way that could help them in game 2. If you're the Pacers, you got to feel like maybe you're like, okay, we can hang with them, but at the same time, like, shit, like you had to win that one. Had to win that one. So, anyways, we'll see how it plays out. But
because the thing
good
is,
win.
Like, the Celtics like played like shit. We literally just did a podcast that if you had no idea what happened and we didn't say, you would have thought they lost.
Yeah.
All we did was bitch.
The transition defense was really bad. Like they just did not do a good job of staying connected enough against this Pacers team. The drop defense is bad. The offense I thought was too mismatched. Hunty, I thought it was too slow. Like the pace.
Quick thoughts on the Celtics all of a sudden wanting to be the fucking Flash of a team in this game. They just did everything they could to get out and transition it. I think specifically to start this game.
I think it worked. I think it worked, so it's a good thing to like sort of match. Because I do feel like if the Celtics are the ones,
best.
I think if the Celtics are the ones to push the pace a little bit, and then it sort of restricts the Pacers' ability to push the pace. Because if the Celtics are playing fast, then they're beating everybody down the floor, and then the Pacers kind of have to like slowly dribble back up. The Celtics, by the way, had 16 fast break points to the Pacers 14. When is the last time the Pacers got outscored in fast break points? I'd love to know. I'm not going to look it up because I don't want to.
Don't look it up. We ain't got time for that.
I'd be curious. They had more points in the paint than the Pacers by 2, more fast break points by 2, more. What is BPTS? I don't know what this is. Bench points. Oh, the Pacers killed them in bench points.
Yeah, topping.
But
11 first quarter points. Fuck off.
Also, they turned the Pacers over 21 times, and I know some of them were Pacers' fault, but like they did a good job of pressuring them and forcing turnovers too. A lot at the start, but
before we go, this will be quick. What do you make of the things that happened in this game? Does it feel outlierish on Indiana's side where you get a 9 of 13 from Turner for 23? I know he's been awesome in the playoffs. You get the Obi Toppin 6 of 8 for 15. TJ gives you 13. And then you also have brain damage on the Celtics end so many different times. Granted, you did have Pacers brain damage at the end of the game.
I think the Pacers probably won't turn the ball over as much. I also think there could be some regression to the mean with the shooting, but they have shot this well and scored this efficiently all postseason. But I think the biggest thing that's going to change, I think the Pacers are going to play the same way. If anything, I think the Pacers could play better with the lack of turnovers. But I think the Celtics defense can be and will be a lot cleaner and crisper and more connected. And I think that's going to be the difference because I think the Celtics offense has room to be better. And the Celtics defense, I think the Celtics offense and defense has more room to be better than the Pacers. That's not to say I don't think the Pacers can play at this level in the series because I do. I genuinely think they can shoot this well and pass the ball this well. And I think, if anything, like their turnovers can go down. But I think the Celtics played far enough below their own standard, ironically enough, in a game where they scored, 133 points. I know it was overtime, but still. But
regulation
I think
117. Still nothing.
Yeah.
Especially in the playoffs.
But I think defensively they have room to be a lot better and cleaning stuff up. So I feel good moving forward still. I think this is going to be a lot closer of a series than people thought. I think 5 is still fine because of how the Celtics can improve. But I still, like I said before, like I don't think 6 is out of the realm either. I know some people are still saying sweep because of whatever, but I think the Celtics this was a big win for the Celtics. Which
I feel the same way. It feels like a game they should have lost, not even from like the way it played out, but just by looking at the way the stats look. And then also their defense not being very good today, and they still won. The Celtics are a team that gets off on defense. They've been a team all season that plays its best basketball when it starts with defense. And they usually lose this game. This game was game 2 in the first couple series. And they didn't lose it.
Yeah. I think that's a credit. Like, for as bad as the Celtics may have looked for a long stretch of crunch time and for stretches of this game, they won the game. And I think that's a positive moving forward, regardless of how well they played. And there's definitely things they can learn and clean up from this game, and I think they will, and they will focus on that. But overall,
I also hope that the Pacers fans are here that we didn't insult their team too much. Because I kind of, I don't know, I've rooted for the Pacers through 2 rounds now, so they have my respect.
Pacers are good. I think they played a good game, and I think they play at this level. I think the Celtics can go to another level, and they should have, and they will. So that's where I'm at. Anyways, any final thoughts?
I am dead tired. Thank God they won this game. I would have been so miserable. Probably would have broke something if they lost in overtime, and I was up at this time in my fucking Wi-Fi. I would have murdered somebody.
Yeah. All right. I got to go right so we can get out of here. Appreciate y'all for listening. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to How About Them Celtics. And I'll let Sam take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Subscribe to the channel like Jack said. Leave a like, leave a comment. Tell us what you thought of Game 1. Hit the bell. You don't want to miss any of our daily uploads. We're coming at you Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday with full pods the morning after each game with a game recap and other videos in between to keep you busy. We also have Talk and See streams. Don't think we're doing one tomorrow. I think it's chalked. Wednesday's a fuck day. But typically they are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. We also have Celts the Roundtable. I believe that'll still happen tomorrow. I'll probably host it. Jack's got softball. And that'll probably be around 6, 7 o'clock. And then we also have pregame. Half hour before every single game. We were there today. Ton of fun. Good crowd. So subscribe. Also find us on Spotify and Apple. Our pods and game recaps are going to be there for you. If you follow us, they'll go right in your feed. Leave a 5-star review. You can email us. I am sure you have a lot to say today. hbtcpod@gmail.com is the address for that. Your thoughts on the game, your rat list. We want to hear from you guys. RJ already sent his along. You know he's in on it. And you can find us on socials at How About Them C's, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook's just name the pod. Our streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jack's Money NBA. Mine is at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.
Tic-tac-toe.